Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another stream. How's everybody doing today? Today, I think, good evening. Hey, X. Hey, Bull Hibioth. How's it going? Welcome back. Today's, I do a lot of code streams, and I do a lot with actual writing of code. Occasionally, the couple games like we've done the last couple of streams, but today I think we're going to talk more about documentation. So I feel like although it's like a really important part of doing development, one, we don't talk enough about it, and definitely as developers, we don't probably document things the way we probably should be. So one of the things that I did recently is we added a feature to Ignition, which is allows us to do integrations and mappings of API, like API mapping and whatever else is. And we haven't written any documentation on how it works yet. Basically, there's two people at the company that knows how it works, and that's pretty much it. So I think it's high time that we write said documentation. And so part of what we have is on the actual website for Ignition. I'm going to switch over. There we go. We do have a documentation page. So we're going to go ahead and document it there because that makes sense. The technical details at this point are probably a little bit less important than the actual usage of the thing. So the actual thing we're going to be documenting is that now when you go into Ignition, and laughably enough, the Ignition instance for the website that runs the the Ignition doc is not on the latest version, so it does not have this feature yet. The irony of this all. But here I have a local instance running that it has just junk data so that we can make the examples we want for the purposes of the documentation and whatnot. And so it's this piece here where we have things related to API keys, hooks, and logs, which has not actually been completely developed yet, but we definitely have these two pieces taken care of. So let's go with that. Let's go ahead and get some documentation written. So the first thing I'm going to do is we already have a collection for these documents. I'm going to go to my collection of how to do content editing, which is what this is actually seemingly called, and we're going to go ahead and add a page, and we're going to call it like on the actual in the actual Ignition it's called integrations, and so underneath it you have those three aspects. So let's go ahead and call it that, and our slug is going to conveniently be integrations. And we're going to go ahead and save it. So if we look at our other pages, there's a couple pieces that are, I think, there it is, documentation. We do need to add it here in order for it to show up. So we're going to, and this is where in the list do I think we want to put it. The order in which we display things is content, site information, social, navigation. Here we have publishing. I'm going to put it right here with the bulk publish, I think. And the because it's all about moving. This is all about more content creation. This is more about content management. So I think I'm going to put it right after the bulk publish, I think. So we're going to go ahead and create a new section here. We're going to call that integrations. Oops. Where are you? There we go. Integrations. The icon name. Now the icon name I used. That is a very good question. We're going to use because it doesn't really have, like, API keys and hooks definitely have icons, but integration, the concept, we use material icons. So let's look at a good maybe material icon that we could use. Maybe they have one specifically that says integrations. I don't know. Sometimes we get lucky that way. Let's see. I don't know. The API one is pretty close. I mean, we're going to do an RSS eventually and whatever else is. I don't hate the API one. Let's do that. I think it exists because I can't remember if this is on material symbols or icons. So let's double check that API exists in both cases. If not, we'll have to see. Yeah, it exists either way, so we're good. So we're going to call that API. And now we have to describe this feature, which if we look at it, is essentially a way you manage your keys. You can have hooks. Each individual hook can be an API endpoint, like a webhook, or eventually, we're in the process of finishing that up. We're going to have the RSS an RSS version for like pull-based fetch, specifically supporting RSS and atoms. So this is where we need to find a nice way to describe that. So how did we describe it? What kind of language are we using on the other ones? Because this is what this description is, right? Is this so process. So it's very action oriented, right? So pull or pull or send data to your ignition. Been on a Mac for too long. Pull data or see, this is why documentation is hard, because you're trying to describe a concept to somebody that you don't like, you know what you're talking about, hopefully, and then you're trying to describe it to somebody in a way that they understand it, because as the engineer who developed the thing, you innately know what it innately know what it does, and trying to describe it to somebody else in a way that's concise and clear can sometimes be difficult. So let's try create webhooks to receive data from other sources, or pull RSS feeds. Actually, bring in data from other sources via webhooks and RSS feed, something like that, right? That describes it at a pretty high level. It's not too bad. So we're gonna save that puppy. I'm gonna go ahead and publish that to test. And it'll be there in a couple minutes as soon as the pipeline picks it up. Now, what I did do is I forgot to move it where I want it. So we're going to move the integrations up one here and save that. Okay. So now we have to write the actual. I'm kind of surprised. Didn't ask me for a link. Let's see. Should have had a link to it. Link to details. There it is. No. Oh, I need to create the page. Did we not create it yet? No, we did. We did. Integrations. There it is. Now, there we go. Now it'll work. Now I'll actually link to where it's supposed to go. Kind of important. So I'm gonna go ahead and just so we know when the pipeline is run, because I'm impatient that way, I'm gonna go and log into that really quick. And we can keep an eye on that to know when it's actually published so that we can kind of look at what we've got. Oh, of course. Of course, I have to log into Fort Knox. Please hold while I type in, you know, things like passwords and keys. Authenticate. And this is your PS security PSA for the day. Even though I'm not a security expert, do turn on your two-factor notifications. You will see me and hear me gripe about it every single time I have to do it, and joke about having to log into Fort Knox every time I have to pull out a two-factor authenticator. But do it. It's good for you. It's good for your data. Okay. So let's find the website one. Ignition. There you are. And theoretically, there we go. Oh, we failed. Why did we fail? That's not a... Hold on, that's an old failure, though. 2 minutes ago. Uh-oh. Why did we fail? This may turn into a development stream after all. New version of failed to get Firebase project. We've got enough. Please make sure your account exists. Okay, we've got an authentication issue. The authentication has expired. I need to reset the tokens. We're not going to be doing that on stream, so we're going to do this slightly differently then. What we're going to do instead... Yeah. Unless Bullheadbath, if you want to reset that token for me. That way I can actually publish. Because I just realized to run this so that I can showcase it, I have to run the emulators. Which means, because I'm running this on Firebase emulators in order to be able to have like whatever junk data I want and not care. And have a known state every time I spin it up. But the website runs on... the REM site runs on localhost 8080, and both of them need localhost 8080, and I really don't feel like messing with the configurations to run it. Both the website and the thing locally at the same time. Yay me! It is one of those days. Please stand by. Thank you, Bullheadbath, for helping out that. So, well, they are fixing my authentication issue and refreshing the authentication token. We are going to keep working on this, and try to come up with ways to describe things in words that maybe not so technical people can understand. Because if you think about the documentation run, right, there's kind of two use cases, and usually I would kind of consider two different like documents. One for like your businessy kinds that may be not as technical, who needs to understand, can this product do that thing that my developer needs to, you know, tells me I need to be able to do, or the developer who needs to understand how to use it. And so in our case, we have this one set of docs that we're going to try to do a little bit of both with, so we'll see how that goes. So back to creating a back to our collection of documentation pieces. We're going to go back to this integrations page, and we're going to start filling out some details. What did we put as hero images on most of the others? I don't think they have a hero image. Maybe I'm wrong. Or did I come up with something fun for each of them? I did. I seemingly did. They each have something. I do for pages. Yeah, we definitely have. The load on that's kind of funky. Alright, so let's go to Unsplash and try to find an image. Unsplash is my friend. I like it because it allows me to have some images I can use. The copyright's easy to figure out and all of that fun stuff. So we're going to try to find something related to integrations. Let's see. All right, not hating, not hating. I've seen this image on like 20 bazillion blog posts. That cracks me up. That makes me laugh. And see, Bullhabeoth is contacting me. Let's see. And respond to him so that you can fix our stuff. There we go. Since I did just have it open, I could probably just send him the link to the field pipeline, actually. That would be... There we go. Where did I just close? Instead of, that's dumb. That was dumb. There it is. There's the... Alright. Alright, so we were looking for pictures. Well, I got sidetracks. Sidetracked live on national television. Oh, that's a cute concept. All right. Technology. Matrix. Is the Matrix. Is the Matrix. Is the Matrix. I've used that one. I like this one. And the colors kind of fit nicely with the theme. Kinda. Yeah. Oh, that's I don't have plus at the moment, so let's try to find something different. I eventually need to get plus because apparently the ones that I think are really cute all end up being the premium. Yeah. I add, let's do integrations purple. Well, the purple's definitely finding me stuff, but not as helpful. Okay. What about connections? Because the whole point of integrations is connections. Connecting things. I don't hate that one. Yeah, let's do this one. I like that one. Download. So we're going to go ahead and download that one as the medium. I think will be 20. Let me double check the website. Let's see how wide we actually go with those. Don't think we limit. Yeah, we really don't. We will eventually degrade doing that though. Alright, so let's grab the middle size. Still really big. And then what I'm going to do with that JPEG is we're going to immediately turn that into a WebP to try to decrease the load on that. So we're going to go find this image I just downloaded in my trusty downloads. And we're going to... Nope. We're going to open it with... Just going to use... No! Not image viewer. Sheesh. Open with GNU or GIMP. There we go. And then we're going to... I don't remember the shortcut now. Image. export. File export. Fine. There we go. Keyboard shortcuts I did remember eventually. So we're gonna call that integrations. And we're gonna use a WebP. Export to downloads is fine. Yep, that's fine. Export. Okay. So now that we've exported that, I can go back over here and hero image. We're going to create a new one. This is going to be we're going to put it in the docs. I can always move it later. And choose the artifact. Downloads. WebP select. I don't know, how would you describe this for alt text? Blue circles and lines meant to represent nodes, probably connections and nodes. Blue circle and lines meant to representing connections between nodes. Oop, Bullhead says it is fixed. Sweet. Thank you. You are a lifesaver. Let's all give him a round of applause. And then we're going to go ahead and copy the attribution so that we can make sure to give credit where credit is due. And paste that in here and save that puppy. So now that we have our image, I'm going to save that just for good measure. Our layout, content editing docs, yay. And then tags. So our tags in this case are going to be, these are for SEO purposes. They're for the metadata at the top of the page. So let's do integrations. I mean, the page is already called integrations. So let's say API, webhook, RSS, Atom, what else are we saying? Content, not really. What are some other words for, or some other keywords for the concept of a webhook? Trying to think. Connectors. We've heard people use that. It's probably good for now. And so now we need to actually start describing what this thing is going to, like what this thing does. So I am going to go ahead and make that folder, I think, because or move that folder, that media folder, because we're going to have some screenshots, right? So we're going to go into the docs. We're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it integrations. Okay. And then we can go ahead and move you into, can I not move you? Did I not put a move function? No. That's a mistake. Guess I know what I'll be doing. Guess what feature is going to happen? We're going to be moving, giving the ability to move something from one folder to another. That'd be good. Okay. So now back to our collection and our content editing and our integrations. Let's go ahead and try to figure out how to describe this thing. Okay, so if the pipeline is fixed, let's take a peek at pipeline successful. Wonderful. So now I can go ahead and look at what our, at least that layout looks like on the website. So we're going to go to site. I'm going to go, actually, I'm already on the test site. Cool. Good, good, good. So now we have, there we go, integrations. And we'll bring in data from other sources via webhooks and RSS feeds. Perfect. More, which of course brings for a page not found because I haven't published that page at all. Cool. So what kind of language did I use in the rest of the documentation? Let's see what I have on like site info. Send from a page allows. Okay. All right. Great. It's very sparse and a lot of pictures and a lot of words. Okay. The integrations section allows you to manage your webhooks and API keys used to bring data into Ignition. This is where you will want to, where you will, this is where you will be able to define your endpoints and map incoming data to your existing. Cool. All right. So API key. Let's do API keys. So if we look at the structure, this is already an H2, I believe, on the website. Is this an H1 or an H2? That's an H1. So let's do H2, API keys. All right. All right. So let's take a screenshot of that. And I have this is for those who would have bright ideas about that API key. This is to, unless you manage to try to hit my local host for 4200 while this is running, this isn't going to work anywhere. So, you know, such is life. So let's take a screenshot of that. Now, for people not getting bright ideas in terms of when I'm posted on the website, I'll blur it out anyway. But for those of you with bright ideas, it's not going to do anything for you. It should have a lot. There we go. Oh, that is not happy. We're not going to be doing that. Okay. I want to... No, that didn't work the last time, and I clicked the same button all over again. That was brilliant. I want to do... Active window. There we go. Ksnip hates me today. All right. Let's try a different tool because it really doesn't like my screenage at the moment. Let's do flame shot. There we go. We're going to Actually, before I do that, let's change these descriptions on these hooks, or the names on these hooks, to something, my application. There we go. To something better suited for our examples. There we go. Or I could say website or something. So now we have, and we can change the description to something maybe, latest news, something like that. Let's do, sure, release information. That's a good idea. Release notes. That's something potentially. That could be a potential example. There you go. API key. Now I can take that and take a screenshot of that in a way that works. Screenshots. There we go. That's a good. And then we're gonna use blur. The blur. There we go. And then we're going to save that in our downloads. Downloads. Actually, because I want the, actually it doesn't matter. I was gonna say, because I want the same one for dark mode and light mode. So what might be easier to do for that purpose is inspect, because that way they'll be exactly the same in terms of height and width and all that fun stuff. Because to do an easy replacement for the purposes of doing a light mode and a dark mode version. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and take, no, yes, responsive. Because now what I can do with that is go ahead and take the capture screenshot. Cool. And then go into my account. I'm gonna go into light mode and we're gonna capture screenshot. That is really bright. And then we're gonna quit scorching our own retinas and go back to this. And can we tell which camp I'm in? Dark mode versus light mode? And then we're going to grab and edit them. Open with, now will you quit being a butt? So that I can blur you. Blur. Save. And do the same for the other one. Cool. 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 And then we're gonna go ahead and save that. Now we can take both of these. I guess I could have done everything, and because I was gonna save them as WebPs, but you know, such is life. save it as, so this is the API key light as with P. This is why documentation takes time. That's why good documentation is hard to find. Export. I mean, I'm sure some other individuals have their own processes and their own streamlined things for doing this. Yeah. I'm open to how are you guys all writing your docs? Like, what's your process? I'm curious now. Nobody? Do you write documentation? I hope so. Okay. So now that we have these two, I can go ahead and take this, go back to my docs, and go ahead and put the image in. This is where I actually need to upload them first. So upload docs. We're gonna do integrations, upload new image. API key light. API key light. Save. And then we need to add integrations. API key dark. So now I need to go grab them. So I'm gonna do, I definitely try to have a meaningful README in the project and then an architecture developer docs in the wiki. But user documentation, I typically in a branded doc or on the website, like you're doing here. Yeah, user docs are hard for me. Like I came up with the README to put in the actual dev super easily. Coming up with this though, this is hard. Because it makes sense to me. And then we're gonna do alt equals screenshot of the API key page, and then class equals light. No, this is class equals dark. And it would help if I did IMG and not I. Almost like I know how to code. It's hard to write good user docs that break down how things work and why you might do a different thing without resorting to click here, click here. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I don't know that my current user docs do a great job at that, but I try. MG. So C equals alt screenshot of the API page. That's the API key page. That would help if it were accurate. C page. And then class equals light. And in theory, if I remember how I set this website up correctly, this should do the trick. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and save that and publish that to test. I have at least a couple of times to start with the client, and that has helped with the explanation document. Yeah. 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 That's what I'm doing for this one, is it's just walking through the kind of in the same vein of just walking through a combination of like actually having implemented it once with a like on a client project, which has helped in terms of, well, how to explain what's going on, but now I have to put it into words that's not specific to their use case, I guess. Words are hard, man. I actually know somebody that uses a lot of ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever to describe their content, and to write their documentation for them. I'm actually, you know what? That's an interesting thought. I wonder if I give it the image, if it'll. The problem is it has no idea of the context of the use case for that image, short of me writing the prompt. And at this point, if I'm writing the prompt, I'm writing the documentation. So, All right, let's see. But yeah. Let's see. All right, this hasn't gone. Okay, because we're not on the right page. There you go. Publishing, integrations, and I don't think our integration page exists yet. Nope, it does not. I'll have to wait till the pipeline. All right, so that's at least the first bit. So I think part of it is like, why would we need an API key, right? Because I jumped straight into, because that's how it lays out. You have the API key, the hooks, and the logs. It kind of, that's where I start. You could try giving it the code and asking guess how to explain this to another dev. No, I actually don't need to do that, because the README in terms of like the actual code itself, I have, and that's actually a really good point, because that does need to go into here is what all the endpoint options are. So let me, and I have that bit written. So I don't need to do that, but that's a really good point. Let's go find that somewhere. I have a console and a terminal. Yay, terminal. I need a new tab. No, I just need a new tab, dude. There we go. Because I want to go to the code and I want to go find that, because we do need to write that in, but that's for the actual hooks themselves more so than the API key, but it does affect how you put the API key. It equals ChatGPT. Yeah. Functions. API endpoint somewhere. Oh, I'm in the build. I don't want to be in the build. I want to be in the actual source. The fuck? The fuck? All right, source functions. There it is. Functions. Source. API endpoint. API endpoint README. This is the part I want. There we go. This whole tidbit. I definitely want. Oh, that's a thing we need to fix. Shit, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. All right. No, it turns out the URL, I totally forgot. Okay, so before we can actually go live with this public, I completely forgot that if you go here in your, somewhere I have the actual, this is getting confusing. One of these guys is going to end up in light mode so I can tell which one's the one I'm actually writing docs in and the one I'm demoing. Before I completely lose track of who's what and what's what. Nope, nope, nope. Yes, you. Okay. So you are going to go in light mode just because that way I know that you're the playground. This URL in the hooks is actually wrong right now. It does not actually get created that way. I need to fix that. That needs to get a ticket. Let's write that ticket really quick before this goes live without me fixing it. So we're gonna write the ticket. That way we can remember not to go live without it. Even though, I mean, technically it's kind of half live. It's being piloted. That's what we're gonna call it. It's being piloted. View all projects ignition. Up. We're going to. That is definitely a selected development. This is a high priority. Where's my priorities? There we go. This is a high priority, high S priority. This is going to go in the next fix version. I guess who's going to be doing the work is probably going to be me, but we'll move that one up to, this is a bug. This is going to be API endpoint or webhook endpoint. Yeah. Webhook endpoint. Ah! What is it doing? Why does it do that? You bad cookie, no biscuit. Webhook URL in UI is wrong and needs updated to display correctly. And display the correct value. I'll take that guy. That's not what that is. I need a, what's it called? A screenshot. That would be good. That is what we want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. That guy. Copy. Paste. Create. Did you have a good Gen Con? Did I run into barely? Nope. You go to Gen Con, Josh? Okay, so now that that I remembered that that's wrong and that needs fixed, let's go back to writing the docs. Okay. And And let's write the version of why you need the API key and what is it used for. In order until she have not been. Aww. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of big though. It's gotten big enough that like it's almost too big. Like I personally I've started in enjoying like the slightly smaller shows like your Origins, which is still really large in the grand scheme of things, a lot more than Gen Con. But that's for me it's just too crowded at this point. I just find it to be too much, if that makes sense. In order to access and use your API key, your webhooks, your hooks, you will need in order to send data to Ignition, you will need an API key. You will need to have an API key, which is equivalent to a password. And trying to describe what an API key is like to somebody who doesn't know what an API key is. It's like kind of like a password. It's definitely something you don't want to share. I mean, I wonder if the Googs has. I do. What is an API key? An API key application program interface key is a unique string of characters. Yes, we know. It acts as a credential allowing you for recognize the calling application manager. Okay, that's a little bit more technical than I'm wanting to go here, dude. I wanted the dumbed down version. Okay. Oh, yay. Twitch is starting to tell me I'm going to have ads in a couple seconds. Almost a password and username is one. Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Identifier. It's a thing that tells the thing that I know who that yes, you're okay to send me things. It's like the secret handshake for the after school treehouse, right? It's like, yes, you're part of the in club and you're allowed in, right? All right, let's take a quick it is. Keep it secret, keep it safe. Yes. Yes. If necessary, it's like underwear. If it's questionable, change it. All right, and with that, we're definitely gonna take the coffee break now, and I will be back in like 2 minutes. All right, and we're back. So we were trying to define API key. And we're still trying to define API key. In this context. So in order to send data to Ignition, let's capitalize Ignition, shall we? You will need to have an API key, which is that will let Ignition know that the data is to be trusted. There we go. Something along those lines. This API key will be used this key will need to be passed in as a query parameter on the request being made. As a request being made. Okay, so now, with actually this key will need to be passed in as a query, would be passed in as a query parameter on every request being made. On every request being made. Ignition allows you to have multiple keys for different usages or purposes as you see fit. Cool, because the key, like literally, that's all the key is. It's the GUID, and that's it. Because then you apply the key to different hooks. So then we can go into hooks. Hooks. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go ahead and publish that. Oh, shoot. We're doing that state thing. Let's publish that. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about webhooks. Ignition allows for 2 different types of webhooks. Webhooks. We have API endpoints. What do I name? What terminology did I actually use? Yeah, API endpoints. API endpoints. Point or what did we call the other one? I'm just gonna do this and that. That'll be smart. There we go. We called the other one RSS import. Yeah, that's not gonna really need to make that sidebar collapse. So eventually. API endpoints or RSS imports. API endpoints. So the RSS one I'm going to do first because it's going to be really, really simple. RSS imports. Coming soon. That was really hard. Ta-da. And then this is where, with the API endpoint, I do want to include, and that was the whole reason I brought up the code earlier, this bit. We have the params and the actual supported, the supported methods. So this has 1, 2, 3 parameters. This is where we're kind of blurring the lines between what's, you know, dev doc versus user doc, but that's okay. And this is supported. What are there? I mean, they're verbs, but they're what, post, they're REST methods. Yeah, supported methods. Yeah, I think so. Supported methods. Will only affect target environments specified in the hook. There we go. All right, so that should give me, yay, that, which is good. To define a hook, I'm just gonna go ahead and take that screenshot now. Yoink. And that will be, need to, we're gonna have to do the zoom thing so I can get, and I don't care about having the entire detail of the schema because we're going to talk about schemas in a second. We'll deal with data mapping in a second. I think we're gonna take these in chunks, I think, because I want to highlight very specific things, right? So we're gonna do this part first. I'm gonna do that. Copy, capture screenshot. Ta-da! And then we're gonna put you in dark mode and capture screenshot. And then we're going to add those in. API endpoints allow you to send data from another source to ignition. And then we get to play this little game with the pictures. The pictures. So we're going to go edit them, and then we're going to WebP them, and then we're going to upload them. Yeah, that game. All right, so we have open with, I don't know. Sure. Do that, do that, do that. Because this is going to be, this is wrong anyway, and this is going to be different depending on who you are. And then I don't even care that it shows that per se, but we're gonna still booger up part of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna booger up the entire thing. There we go. And now we're going to save that. And then we're going to go for the other screenshot. And we're going to save that. No, that's not what I meant to do. We're going to go for the other screenshot. We're going to open with boop, boop. We're going to hide this part. We're going to save that. And now we're going to export them as WebP. Open with GNU. Of course, it opens it on the screen. That's not the screen we're dealing with. We're going to export that. That is the, so this is the webhook. Hook details. Light. And we're going to close you. Webhook details dark as WebP. And then we're going to close you. And then we're going to upload, y'all. Upload. You know what we never did check? We never did check how this looks like online because it's probably published by now. So let's go take a peek. How is that not published yet? I thought I had sent it to test. There we go. All right. Oh, it has the boop at the bottom. That's annoying. I forgot to trim those. That's really annoying. And that's totally still perfectly readable. Okay, we're gonna have to fix that. So I need to maybe maintain this. And our light dark thing isn't working, which I thought for sure I had a light dark thing going on. Because I thought for sure if I did that and then I went to dark, like see, it switches. So what did I do to make it switch? Inspect. Oh, data light, data dark. Ah, I didn't do classes, I did data. All right. Fine. Be that way. Let's fix it. First off then. Where did I stick it? There we go. So first thing is this isn't class, it's data. Oh, look, Banhammer. It's almost like I don't want spam. Aw, Well, hey, Bill is faster than me. Good job. I really need to figure out how to be faster at that. One day, one day. Okay. Class. The data light. That's what we meant to do. Data light. Data light. And then you were data dark. I do need coffee. Right. Save. Save that. Push that up to test. What time is it? Talking about coffee. It's not that bad. Alright. We're gonna try to wrap it up a little bit for tonight. Let's get this out there to make sure that we got this whole dark light thing working correctly, because I'm gonna have to redo these screenshots anyway, because I don't want the emulator thing at the bottom, and I kind of need to give, maybe we'll look at this next week, but kind of look at the fact that like the images get obnoxiously big, like I don't constrain it in any way, shape, or form, which kind of feel like I should, because it feel like it does a little bit more, like it takes away from being able to get through the content once you get past a certain size. It also means I'm probably uploading images that are way too bloody big, but that's beside the point. So let's look at the pipeline really quick, see where we're at with that. Somewhere I have a pipeline. Not in there. Not there, not there, not there. We dealt with you. You're fine. Nope, nope, nope. Where did I put you? Who knows? Who knows? Too many tabs, too many screens, too many all the things. Tabs are bookmarks, right? If I reopen stuff, well, now we're going back in history further than I want to go. Somewhere, Bitbucket. The Bitty Bucket. Bitty Bucket. This would be the website. Ignition. How impatient am I going to be? Oh, it's in progress, of course, by the time I find the page. Tabs are bookmarks. I don't know. Lately, though, I haven't been playing near as much of the tab stuff and a lot more of the windows as bookmarks, which is almost worse because you can almost tell, like, the state of how my day is going by the state of my screen just by looking at where all the windows are. And so then you start playing the patchwork game where there's just like one little corner, like exactly here. I didn't even do it on purpose, but you know, you have the exact, like, they overlap just right so that you can always find it again no matter which one is in front type of game. Yeah, that. Alright, deploying the test. Can you deploy faster? Deploy faster. I can't be the only one who's who's, oh, come on. Build test. Why? Why? No. The heck is wrong with you? It didn't like the something about the table error. I couldn't parse something. That's legit. That's legit. It couldn't parse the image. Why? How did I booger up the image? URL. Oh, I have an extra quote right there. And I have an extra quote right there. No wonder it can't parse. Desktop Windows as Pokemon is a funny game. The only way to win is to not play. Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I'm being impatient about this whole game, so we're going to we're just gonna rerun you manually so that you don't have to be about. Come on, pipeline. The weird thing about this particular pipeline, and I'm actually kind of proud of it, even though I'm not a DevOpsy person, is that the part that takes the longest isn't even like the running of the pipeline. It's like the actual Docker container spinning itself up. Like everything else about it, super fast. It's just that part where it has to spin itself up, which I mean I don't control that. That's in Bitbucket's hands or whatever. But yeah, the code I actually run in that pipeline is really really fast, and it's just a dumb gulp script. Oh, for those who remember using that back in the day, where it literally just minifies, uglifies, go forth and conquer, basically. But I mean, there's a little bit of building involved in that. It is technically rebuilding the entire website, which uses ah, I'm blanking on the name now. 11D, so that we can have the static thing going on, but which is why I have to rebuild every time I update the and push the content because it is a static website. But details. Come on. Come on, come on, come a little faster. Come on. No. Ta-da. All right. Now that we successfully fixed the fact that apparently, syntax matters just a hair, a tid, a smidge, a little. That should have fixed. Hey, look that we have dark. Oh, and I do need to add styles for the table because the table has no styles, which I don't love. Okay, so I think we kind of have some idea of what's going to happen our next little stream, which is you can get the data of the actual documentation here, but we're going to have to give some little bit of love to how we present some of that data. Cool. Anyway, thank you, y'all, for hanging out with me. I hope y'all had a wonderful day and that it's only Monday. Well, that you have a wonderful rest of your week. And that hopefully if your Monday did not go well and it was a typical Monday, that it is not a foreshadowing of the week to come, and that you have a wonderful week. Thanks, Josh, for hanging out. So nice to chat. And with that, I will see you all same time, same place next week for probably more documentation crap, although this time will be code in order to write good yeah, something along those lines.